I am a chronicler of the mind, more of a plumber or a physician than a painter. Plumbing the depths, pricing out and erasing structured memory capsules, fixing the leaks, and thus relishing the taste of freedom, love, creativity, God particle, call it by whatever name, seems to be the goal. I am here for, by, and in the process that some call life and some call art. Painting and writing are my tools. Within a painting, colors, lines, composition, beauty, anything is sacrificed in exchange for the naked truth. I have no other plans. The hungry snake has begun to consume its own tail, blurring the lines between right and wrong, between male and female, and between needs and wants. We are so productive, we have become the product. And it is at this time when the axis of power should shift, when consciousness itself must shift in order to survive, that art has a vital role to play. Time, a great stampede of kings and paupers, birds and bees, dwarfs, giants, the bold and the beautiful, and the ugly, marching nonchalantly, stopping for none, and rolling out onto the other side of the coin is the irrevocable hum of a mantra embedded in a dharmic role. Hungering towards an integer, towards an emptiness of candescent singularity, annihilating all fractions in its pathway, all except the cipher, all except love, all except the grasshopper green. I wouldn't say that this was an exhibition that was conceived. It is an exhibition that is part of a process of chasing patterns. Why patterns? Why did you chase patterns? Because that's the only thing that rose from the stillness of the white paper in front of me. I dismissed it many a time, calling it just a pattern, design, etc. But no matter what, that was all there was. So you followed the lines which took you to spirals and shells, to the black eye of a storm, or galaxies, to hexagons in beehives, to religious symbols. It gave you the pi ratio, and you said, "Oh, the pi ratio. Who is that? What is that?" It said that it's about Da Vinci, it's about cathedrals, it's about your little snail, your sunflower. You downloaded the material given to you, a little dazed. Then you went for a walk down the road for a chocolate chip ice cream. You tended your garden, you fought with your plumber, and very soon stepped into a bookstore on 80 Feet Road. That's how the little book of coincidences in the universe happened. It revealed the patterns in the skies, the musical walls of the planets, which again reminded you of the very same musical walls in yourself, and you had no choice but to freeze on it. And that's why this whole thing was just a part of a process. A walking, an exploration, a living. One led to the other. In these bipolar fragmented and isolated times that we live in, it is a huge relief to know that there really is a connection and a unity that binds all of nature. Psychology, psychiatry, epistemology, theology, ethics, ecology, art, religion, yoga, all in their own way are trying to deal with the patterns of the human mind. For some reason, we seem to like to see the differences and not the similarities in human thoughts and emotions. Tortoise and Nautilus, the exhibition, led to the panel discussion called Dame Chance, Sir Raisin, and the Little Book of Serendipity. And that led to Quote Maker, make me a quote. Lightness in spirit and body is the aim of all art, all life, ultimately. It contains within it the potential to be absolutely useless, but also to be the pointer, the guide, and the light. Finally, nothing that has ever been said here or will be said in the future can equal what has been lived.
Good morning to all of us. Many familiar faces. I don't think we need introductions, but it's going to be a formality that I'm going to introduce all these beings that have been connected here. Today we are also a galaxy of beings. Beings who have come together for a very specific cause. And when we were chatting together with Anuradha, she said that I think we have to evoke the mandala. The mandala as a sacred diagram, a mandala as a way of entering into ourselves and also connecting to each other to come to a certain center. And this center could be within all of us. The center is not one center, the center is everywhere. I also want to say that Anuradha is who's instrumental in trying to put this book together, inviting all of us together, also having a prelude of our own exhibition that is very intuitively being conceived. And these are the few things that connect all of us. Are we beings who are very reason-oriented? But at the same time, as artists, as creative people, as individuals, we give a lot of chance for chance. With that, invoking the mandala, this doesn't look like a mandala, but we have to imagine that we are in a mandala. And we are mandalas within ourselves, we are also mandalas that are around us. And in one of the stories that I was asked to write by Anuradha, there was an aspect of mandala that came into my life.
Enlightenment is a rather very much used and heavy word, but some realize it. I am reminded of a couplet of Hafiz, which I do not remember the exact words, but what he says that when I went to the temple for the first time, I saw the temple and the statue. When I went there for the second time, I saw the temple, the statue, but something else also in life. When I went there for the third time, I did not see the temple, I did not see the statue, but I saw something else. Sudden, how you make that connections, and how for many of us these sudden insights come, I do not know, in bathrooms or while walking. Suddenly you realize that, or dreams. To me, it appears that one should be little aware of it. If possible, try to use it, but these things don't work when you really try to do it. But be aware of it and perhaps leave it at that. Let it be little mysterious. Let it be also little of for your ego that yes, I have understood it. So that's the way I think one can go about it.
And that was 12 years ago. We kind of tried to start a project to connect farmers. So I used to be motivated by it. before I worked in Indonesia. So the reason I'm mentioning all this is I kind of realized whichever areas or whichever sectors you're in or whichever the patterns of living, the patterns of thinking and transforming, it's probably the constructs are the same. I mean, and when I say the same, again, maybe the pattern of building it up is the same. The pattern of hopes, the pattern of what people think as successes in different societies. Probably the building blocks are the same. And then it's also a thought that if there are similar patterns for humanity everywhere, I mean, thanks to social media now, things do look similar on the face. Perhaps if you reconstruct the patterns in your head.
I had a dream of a little temple and an office room, which is colored pink. I think I must be dreaming in color because I can remember the color pink, a chair and a table. And I saw myself sitting in that table. And suddenly the next day I was quite soothed. Somewhere in that subconscious level, I was quite, somewhere there was a kind of a peace. And it was like magic that a month later I was lifted back to Bangalore, traveling by that train. And when I came to Bangalore, I was posted in an office with there was a little temple, the same temple I'd seen in the dream, a pink office, identical as I had seen it. Found myself sitting in that chair, and it was like a dream, like sort of unspooling into reality, to that kind of thinking, to the way you think, because it's in a world which if you attach value to intuitiveness, you're actually in some ways taking away the value from the everyday and the existence. So to me, that seems to be the most important thing. I think it's on our conditioning, because I think young children, as we see, they're really intuitive naturally because they know identity. They're just such blurred identities. You can tell them they're anything, they'll accept it. But I think as we grow, our conditioning, our reflexes, they impede us. They actually slow us down from this kind of thinking.
The science is the process of understanding and discovering patterns in nature, as well as making creative interpretations of interconnectedness of elements of those patterns. Art is the process of understanding and discovering patterns of intuitive spaces, as well as making form with content. Using the interconnectedness of elements of those patterns. Whereas science deals with patterns in nature, art deals with intuitive patterns. But both strive to make creative outputs from the elements of those patterns. The individual thought patterns are waiting to join with universal thought patterns through seeking or serendipity. There are two ways. One is seeking and one is serendipity. When the marriage is predominantly through seeking, we call it science. And when it is predominantly through serendipity, it becomes art. Doesn't mean that both are, totally exclusive of each other. Even science has some art, and art may have science too. Next. This areneal magic, or the magic inside the cranial arena, views patterns inside patterns, merging and engulfing different patterns both from inside as well as from outside. Even in apparent coincidences, is not there some amount of design? I tend to think so. Patterns inside patterns, the whole universe is a web of patterns.
Our mind and the universe, inside and outside. That's basically what we are talking about. Actually, it all starts with us. It starts with the universe comes later. It is we who, each individual, I think, starts, and then we look around and we see the universe, and then we see patterns and things like that. This, when we started out and said that 24th of November we are going to have this, I didn't have the date first, but it happened that 25th I had to be in Bangalore for another very important event, and so you, within your own mind, you create an entire world, 2-3 generations. Within you, this mind, you travel all around and interact with other people. And this small little thing inside your head, whether magnificent like mine or whether covered with hair like other people. It's that small little thing inside your head. That's where it all starts from. The universe is something of your creation. And there are people who are in authority, people who build buildings, who have huge organizations they create. Just this two-legged creature with two pinholes, who can be a mandala, who can be a being, who can be just two things. So for me, I was here mainly because in my writing, I was telling her that a few uncanny, eerie instances have occurred where I have written about something and within a month, within a couple of days, it has happened.
So I remember reading this story where he talks about this little girl and the father and mother have taken this little child to the beach. And he falls and he's got some footprints, he's got fingerprints. And he's so happy that he's making these marks here in the sand. And he's joyous, he's smiling, he's telling his father and mother, look, he cannot speak, but he's trying to tell his parents. And then a wave comes and the wave wipes away the footprints or the fingerprints. It brings a little shell, it brings probably crab, something from the sea. And the child is even more ecstatic. So the child is laughing, and he's exploring, and he's in that sacred space. So Bhagesan says, there is the secret. There is a very beautiful neuroscientist who V.S. Ramachandran, probably some of you must have heard. So he says that in school, we drew a picture of two trees, and then right in the center of that tree is a tree. This is what he drew. And when it was shown to his teacher, his teacher said, this is definitely not good because it sounds really, it's too much of a coincidence that you have two hills and a tree right in the center. As children, I remember we ourselves have done these kind of pictures. So Ramachandran says he has created 9 laws of aesthetics. In between, I am just remembering what Bhagesan said about aesthetics. For him, aesthetics is paying attention to the patterns that connect. That is what aesthetics is about. Anyway, Ramachandran talks about one of the laws, which he says it's called abhorrence of coincidences. And this particular law, he says, the brain is automatically tuned to say that this is not correct. Why? Because you have the left brain and you have the right brain, and your left brain will tell you that there's something wrong. And just because you need the logic, you need to know why, how did it happen like this? How can there be two hills be right in the center? So your brain will automatically reject that space because that's what it knows best, the left brain. If you show Henry Moore's sculpture to somebody, I believe if you connect some wires to his head, he will, on the image, IFMRI imaging or something like that, which the scientists do, it says that this fellow likes Henry Moore's sculpture, even though there is a big hole in the center of this first sculpture of a woman or a man. You actually like it. But the left side of your brain will ask these questions. And what I understand is that if that is the case, and if your left brain is conditioned not to like it because it doesn't know what it is, if you dig a little deeper, I feel the brain is only trying to help you. It is only trying to say, okay, don't stop now, reject this right now, but if you dig a little deeper, you will find out that there are larger patterns underneath which you can uncover. These coincidences which you call just coincidences. they will remain so because your perspective is pivotal. So just imagine the two hills and the tree in the center. You look at it like that, that's the way it is. But just move around. Move a little to the side. Obviously, the tree is not centered now. You just have to move around. So in real life also, when a coincidence happens in your life, I have always wondered, maybe we haven't paid attention to it. Maybe you haven't given it the importance. You have only seen it as just a coincidence. So therefore, chasing that larger perspective, I think we trace our memory, we see the associations and connections, we see dreams and coincidences. We see the connection between cathedrals, pyramids, paintings, trajectories of planets, growth patterns, the spirograph pattern we made as children, column designs, symbols in religion. You're pulling at a string and suddenly the whole design. Therefore, I think it is safe to say that we are all connected. That's all. Right from the little shell to human beings, even the planets are tracing similar patterns. And we are connected, therefore, by the pi ratio, which is what the exhibition is really about, and by our stories and by our relationships.
In my experience as a visual artist, I can comfortably say that the creative triggering point is the intuition that works, which can lead to different stages of developing a work with the reason. But during the process itself, there are moments of discovery when you allow yourself to recognize them. I would like to quote an example from my recent project, Follow the Sound of the River, working with scientists in the field of aquatic ecology. During one of my field trips, I had to work with scientists assisting their project. When we were in the wilderness of the National Park of Zurich, we were climbing up the mountain to reach the river base. It was about 5 kilometers away and 6 o'clock in the morning. My colleagues had to reach the river base in 30 minutes for certain experiments. There was no map or directions to the location. As I was walking slowly, one of my colleagues asked me to follow the sound of the river in order to reach out to them at the river base. So when I walked alone in the forest in the direction of the river, by just listening to the sound of the river, it was a revelation to me.
When something I'm very intensely feel and ask for signs, and I get signs. Then I think, doesn't God has no other job? Caring for these simple things I'm thinking about and giving you right signs. And these right signs to the desire we have within us. That is what patterns. So I feel the earth or the universe has got patterns. I don't know if there's one pattern or there's innumerable patterns. So we fit ourselves to one pattern and desire very, very intensely to that. The whole universe will go further, even if you are looking for a bigger thing. So the patterns take it little cautiously because our mind can be very small pattern in which we get all right signs and we think this is all something very proper. So be very critical of this pattern.
Just a part of a process, a walking, an exploration, a living.
We've learned so much. I think we request Kumar Verma to release this small book. I think a small book with lots of wisdom in it. So she has marked a few portions which I now read. And that's how I happen. as a natural progression and consequence of events that unexpectedly come to claim lives. A fruit of the magic and the wonder nurtured by its contributors. To those who have forgotten the taste of magic and wonder, I hope this little book will help you remember as you hold me in your hands now. Its fragrance will spread and the sun dips yet again and the stars clamber up the night sky. It will be time for me to erase my borrowed features, close my eyes, curl up and sleep. This is Guruji Sri Arnav. Tikkule proposed the cyclical structure of the benzene ring. Tikkul, this ability referred to as intuitive intelligence, is the most precious and gracious gift. One should be thankful for it, and then the magic within starts. I would rather trust the 91% unexplored.
The mysteries of the universe will forever remain a mystery to anyone or anything that is a part of it. It is those who understand this to its very depth that become truly silent. When you stop trying to find the pattern, stop trying to tap into the source, stop all attempts at understanding, then intuition can flow. It is uncontrollable and untappable. If there was a formula to tap into intuition, then we would all be able to see the future, know the past of every man, and see events before they happen.
Just a part of a process, a walking, an exploration, a living. Just a part of a process, a walking, an exploration, a living. The scent of a flower, be with that. The sparrow in the garden and the grain of rice in your palm, thank that. The crow on your kitchen window and the smile on your lips, retain that. A child's finger in your palm, thinking you know, respect that. Holding his fingers and knowing you don't, play with that. Just anything mindlessly playful, trust that. The rubber band of greed stretched to the hilt. The way out is the collapse into the self. Into his little finger knowing you don't know. Into a squirrel. A shell into the cool balm of sleep. And that's why it's good, the recession, for growth, not vertical, built on backbones sure to crack, but horizontal, anchored in the moment of truth. A small part of an amazing journey seemed to end here for me. As a large part of living the understanding must now have the grace to unfold. The journey left me with the understanding that within a larger cyclic universe is a small cyclic nature, within which we live with our own small cyclic patterns. Religion tries to express it through symbols, poetry through metaphors, and Zen and the Tao through paradoxes.
I think painting is mainly about erasure. It is not just about creating a product for the wall.